Hello, everyone. Welcome to Jessica Payne Live. I am your host. That you like the content that I'm delivering, and I'll just keep doing it. So without further ado, I'm going to jump right into today's broadcast. If you're just joining me for the first time, quick housekeeping rules. I'm going to go live for the first 30 minutes, and then every time I'm going to jump over after that directly over to Instagram, and I'll put my link in there. If you're listening to me, this all sounds fun and familiar, and if you have been itching to actually watch the show, make sure to check me out on Facebook and Insta. Hey, Teresa, thanks. She says, welcome back. It sounds like you can hear me okay, so give me a shout out if you can't hear me. I'm using a new mic today, all that fun stuff. Come back from vacation, get all pumped, try out new gear. It's part of today's content. What's going on, Aaron? How are you doing? It sounds like your show's going gangbusters. It's nice to see you guys. If you haven't checked out Erin Strayer, check her out. Tons of content, like all the time. And she's been making the show circuit on other shows as well. Teresa, how's it going? Today's topic, and I'm going to jump right in, is about finding your niche. I've always heard it called niche, but I've heard other people say niche. I don't know, whatever you pronounce it. And it's based off of insight. I saw this great article come out from an influencer I follow. He's huge in the YouTube space, Roberto Blake. And he wrote this long it's just filled with insight and data. Now, his focus is YouTube. He's a creator for YouTube. And it's all about how variety content is dead. Now, I'm going to read some highlights from his work. But it's really just a larger discussion today. And then if some of you have questions, I'd love to workshop finding your niche. And it is all wrapped around the big trend right now. All of the data shows, and if we use YouTube as proof of anything, and I love using data from YouTube because it's basically where a lot of content creators who are also active on other social media spaces for their business get their information. A lot of media report insights from YouTube because frankly, what happens on YouTube tends to happen trend-wise on other social media channels. In layman's terms, if we're running businesses and putting a lot of effort and time on social media, we want to make sure we're doing it in the best way possible so that people watch our stuff, click on our stuff, donate, buy, subscribe, whatever it is we are hoping to get them to do at the end of the day, but make sure it's in a way that's totally super organic. Does that make sense? Roberto Blake is his name, Aaron. He's massive in the YouTube space. He just spoke at VidCon. So VidCon is a massive annual event where influencers tend to gather, and it's kind of like a massive developer conference, but just for content creators. A lot of YouTubers show up there. It's actually probably gotten way too big, but he's been in the space for a very long time, and he is great. He has integrity. He always backs up whatever he is recommending with his personal experience. So why don't we dive in? Because I want to talk a little bit about what your niche is. And maybe the first question is, if you're okay answering, do you know what your niche is? And if you want to throw it out in the comments, we can workshop that. The biggest insight coming out of social media channels is this. It used to be, especially on YouTube, where basically anyone would jump on and create what's sort of called variety content. You would have a channel that would have a show or several shows that would have sort of a narrow focus. Every other video you threw up might be somewhat related, but it wasn't terribly specific. And so you had a lot of people in early days on YouTube that were influencers that would just upload videos, doing gags or jokes or pranks, or maybe even, really solid content, but it would never really go deep into one specific area. It would try to reach an entire subject and perhaps be too broad. So if you were a filmmaker, maybe you never went vertical, rather than talk about being a female filmmaker, you might just try to cover all of film. Or let's say in the tech space, and you see this in blogging as well, rather than try to go vertical or niche or maybe cover, mobile games, you're trying to cover the entire tech space. Well, that used to fly. That used to get the clicks and the engagement and the views. But now that there are just more people and more content vying for our limited attention span, and then algorithms changing on top of that, what we're seeing is the numbers just are no longer there. The numbers no longer support the notion that just throwing any content up that's somewhat related works. And so people like Roberto and other influencers are saying, basically, now is the time, if you haven't already, to specialize. And I've said that from the get-go. You've probably been told that from the get-go. But the more you specialize, meaning what's your niche? Can you go deeper into a specific area? The greater chances you are at actually creating a loyal audience that's more specifically interested in what you have to offer. They might not be ready to donate or subscribe or buy from you right now, but all of this is, and I talked about it last week, a couple of weeks ago, is like the more people can connect with you on a deeper level. I think this is in general. The more they like your content, the more likely they are to subscribe and stick around and actually pay attention to what it is you're talking about. We've got a couple comments, so let's see what it is. Aaron's saying, yeah, one of my girlfriends was just featured there too. Yep, awesome. VidCon is pretty powerful space. It's pretty saturated, but if you can, the fact that a woman's at VidCon, I'm always going to support that because, the more visibility, the better. Teresa, you're saying, I'm learning as I go, so I'm totally not using social in the best way. I learn and adjust as I go. Super excited about the Insta Live. Yeah, awesome. I'm glad you're excited about that. We'll talk a little bit about that, Teresa. And by the way, it's fun. First and foremost, it's fine if you don't know what your niche is. Like when I first started my show here, like with any content, you have to forgive yourself a little bit. You have to know, and all of the best brands, top brands do this. They know they're giving themselves a little bit of creative freedom. Social media is an animal. It's living and breathing. And so, what I started talking about 9 months ago, I've slowly narrowed my focus. I could sit here all day and talk about social media and I'd be bored. But what I've tried to do, and hopefully you've noticed this, is every show I go a little bit more of a narrow focus. So I tend to focus on a couple of things now: storytelling, content, brand, authenticity. There's always, my niche is always that authentic branding, bringing your personal style forward. I might hit on trends, but so let's use me as an example. You'll find that I'm not going to sit here every week and just report the news and social media. Way too broad. There are frankly other people that can do it better than I can. It's all about what can I offer? And, so number one, forgive yourself. You don't need to know your niche right away. Number two, if you wonder or if you're struggling to find what your niche is, it goes back to what I've said before. What personally can you bring into your experience? There's no easier way to personalize and specialize in your niche than actually bringing some of your personal experience forward. So for example, Teresa, you're in education, right? You know how to work with kids. Maybe it's kids of a certain age. Maybe it's kids who have learning disabilities. Maybe it's a different style of teaching. Like you and I both know, education is an extremely broad subject matter. So what can you bring into it that is naturally you, because that's going to make it easier to create the content? What can you actually specialize? And so the third thing is, if you kind of have an understanding of what you might bring in personally to the experience, the third thing you can do is poll the audience, poll your friends, poll your clients. Feedback informs everything we do. Through feedback is clarity, and clarity is power. That's what I always say. So ask a handful of trusted friends or clients to talk about their experience working with you, or to ask them what stands out. Is there a pattern? Are they all talking about the same thing that you offer? So here's an example. People will give me feedback, and what they always tell me are a couple of things. You have a very calming presence. I don't really know if I can focus on my niche about that, but that informs my presentation style. And they also say they really like how I bring authenticity and storytelling together. I hear that time and time again. So I know they're basically informing what I need to stick to in terms of niche, in terms of my stamp on my topic. And that's really what we're talking about. Right? So if you are struggling to figure out your niche, if you feel you're going too broad, if you aren't seeing those clicks and views and links, maybe you're getting interest, but nobody's actually doing what it is you want them to do, stop, take a look at what you're doing, and actually poll the audience. That's the third thing. What up, RJ? RJ is an excellent example. I'm going to put you on the spot, RJ, of niche, of owning your specialization. I think we all know if we have a question about chatbots at all, we go to RJ. I mean, it's like when it can be that obvious. I think there's no better way of owning your niche than that. There are other people who work on chatbots. RJ knows this. I know this. But for me, what I connect with RJ is she's a business owner. She's wicked smart. She's super authentic. She's a woman. I connect with that. And she knows her stuff. Have I worked with RJ? Yes. Do I know a lot about chatbots? Not really. She helps me inform the technical side. Okay. So there's an example of specialization of owning your niche, right? RJ, I'm curious, like, as you're moving forward in chatbots, I'm totally putting you on the spot, dude. We're talking about finding your niche. And I've seen you, because I watch your show, like play with different topics. In fact, I know a lot of us here do our own shows. I'm curious, like, have you played with different topics? Are there moments where you've tried a new focus and it hasn't worked? I have bagfuls of that, but I'm curious. RJ, Aaron, I'm wondering, have you tried to move deeper into an area of your niche and find it didn't work? Because that's important too. Aaron's saying she's the queen. Queen RJ. We all know. Teresa's saying, learning and building skills through play, that's what you focus on. Awesome. So learning and building skills through play. So everyone, just if you're listening or watching, not familiar with Teresa, so education, she works with kids. So I'd invite you to actually take a look at, okay, so when it comes to the content you're putting out, because that sounds pretty straightforward. When it comes to your niche and content, because that's what today is about. Again, I always say put purpose behind every second you spend on social media so that you get people to do what it is you want them to do, so that it's organic, authentic, and so it's fun, so it doesn't suck, right? The more authentic it is, the more rewarding it is. So Teresa's saying learning and building skills through play, that's what you focus on. So when it comes to actual content, I think when it comes to what you can actually talk about, how can you bring your personal story forward? How can you personalize that niche? How can you go one step further? And that's kind of the fourth way a question to ask. Prompt yourself with a question. So, are you a mom? Are you a parent? Are you, we're getting a drive-by from my cat. Come here, honey. Anything can happen on a live. So for me, here's a good example. Do I or do I not bring my personal life into my lives? I do. You've seen my cat. Sometimes she gets more views on my Instagram than I do. I think most of you know I'm part of the queer community. Like, I bring that in. So these are choices. These are moments for us to bring our personal lives into our niche to help go one step further, one more step sort of vertically into our subject matter. Aaron is saying, oh my gosh, I've tried many times. I feel it's failing forward. Yeah, I agree. I think you're referring to trying different things. For me, I always have one sense of a pull. Like, I get really excited about a new app or a new trend, and a lot in social media, it happens very, very quickly. Apps and trends come and go. So the best thing that we can do is just like try them out. So there have been times where I feel like I'll try to beef up on an app or a subject matter that I'm really excited about, and then it disappears. I'm like, well, that's not going to be my niche, is it? Because no matter how much I love something, it's not necessarily going to be, the best way forward for me to verticalize. Can I just tell you, I have a cat fully extended right now, like scratching on my cupboards. I don't know. I'm just going to use it. As long as you can hear me over her, that's going to be great. So what are the things that Roberto said? Because I do want to refer to that. Some of the things he talked about, and again, he presented this at VidCon. You can find all of this information online. But some of the things, and I'm just reading from my phone here, he talked about everything from what content to make. He talked about stuff called gateway content. He also talked about inconsistent and infrequent uploading. So rule number one, you guys, always be posting. Still always be posting. Don't be afraid to find your niche and talk, but always be posting. Don't rely on YouTube to do everything for you. This is directly from Roberto, but I would say the same. Don't rely on Facebook to do everything for you. Don't rely on the magic of Twitter to do everything for you. It starts and stops with your content and your niche. Some of the other things he said, and I love this, his piece is long, it's on Medium, you can read it all, but some of the things that actually stood out to me are, and this was directly in line with a couple of days I spent at the YouTube space in LA a couple weeks ago. This is one of the big trends right now. As soon as you find your niche, you personalize your experience, you take your take on something. If you're a realtor and you're a mom, maybe that's your niche. If you are a lawyer in South Florida and maybe you work with a lot of startups, maybe that's your niche, right? What's that 1 or 2 steps further into your topic that you can then own? This is when, let's take a step into the content strategy side. Then you can start to think about things like, okay, so when it comes to content, rather than just, and this goes along the lines of like, stop doing variety content. Don't just do one episode on one thing and never touch it again. Think of it as sort of a mini web series. So for the next 3 or 4 videos, or 3 or 4 posts, or 3 or 4 lives, can you dive deeper into a specific chapter or section or area of your niche? Teresa, maybe it's learning disabilities for the next 4, or overcoming the first year in school. Maybe there are some pain points or some challenges faced by parents that you deal with all the time. Can you wrap a series around that and then you roll it out? So in the YouTube space, it's sort of like, it's called like, you roll it out in blocks. So a lot of web series will actually produce a full season and then they'll roll out their episodes in blocks. So 3 or 4 episodes at once, because they understand our culture likes to binge. And some of these episodes or videos are only a minute or 2 long, but what they want to get you to do is dive deeper. They'll roll out 3 or 4 videos and it only totals maybe 20 minutes. They know you're going to sit there and watch 1, 2, 3, 4 videos on a topic, get excited, and then they'll promote the next block that they'll release maybe a week later or 2 weeks later. The culture now is to binge. They know we like to binge and consume. So you do it too, probably, if you watch Netflix at home. So think about that. Can you create a block of posts or videos? Think like a YouTube creator and roll it out in blocks. And what can you do? What topic can you own that highlights your niche and your expertise? This is one of the best and easiest ways to actually help communicate to others that you specialize in something. So rather than one random video or like 10 covering a whole variety of things, why don't you dive deep and think about it in terms of a series? All right, we've got some fun comments. I knew that would spark some. Teresa, that's fantastic. I love that idea. Do it. So I'm going to challenge you right now, Teresa, to actually do it. It's hard. It's hard to go vertical. But once I think you start to think about it in terms of, we watch Netflix, we watch Hulu, we probably follow and subscribe to YouTubers. You don't need to be on YouTube to use this strategy. Like, put your little producer hat on, get in your own writer's room. Okay, so if you're creating a quote unquote mini series talking about your niche, what would it look like? What would you talk about? And then divide it up, slice it and dice it into like 3 or 4 chapters. And then it's up to you what that content then looks like on the other end. Are you going to create some videos? Maybe do a series of lives. Maybe it's just some posts. Maybe it's mini social media posts that all point back to a long blog post. That's not a new strategy, but maybe owning your niche now is. Is this helpful? Guys, let me know in the comments if it is. I'm super excited about this strategy because I love storytelling. And this is like, when I hear that the numbers back up any sort of strategy, I get excited. And the fact that this is what separates creators that then are respected and seen as influencers, not to mention they have the numbers to back that up. I think it's a sound strategy, frankly, for anywhere across social media. And again, the idea at the end of the day is for people to look at Erin and go, she's a thought leader, I trust her. Or RJ, she's a thought leader, I trust her, I like what she's talking about. I don't understand half the stuff, but I know that when I need anything having to do with chatbots, I totally feel like I can connect with her. Did you see her series on XYZ? That's all what we're trying to do here, right? RJ, I find that I don't go deep on my live stream with all the tech stuff. It's really more about what bots can do conceptually and how that will help small business owners. I think that's okay, RJ. One of the things, if I'm maybe so bold, one of the things I love about how you introduce bots, which are highly complex to most of us, one of my favorite themes you talk about is how to humanize your bot. So you're like myth busting straight away because bots have a stigma. So you have an uphill battle to climb with every new viewer. But you're already doing it. Just to reflect back to you, sort of like, ask yourself if you really do need to go into the tech stuff. And I think that goes back to your audience. If it's small business owners, we probably don't need to get in the weeds. We know that we're going to hire you to do that. But what resonates with me as a small business owner is you help me understand that bots are more than X. Bots can be human. Bots can create conversation. Bots can be organic. Bots can work for women. They're not like this robotic, masculine, aggressive sales platform. Like, for me, you're kind of a translator. So yeah, I think, but you may find that like me, maybe you really love the tech side. Just like with social media, I like some of the really, really technical bits. And sometimes I fall down the rabbit hole. And I'm like, okay, do I need to talk about that because I love it? Or is there a way to talk about it in a way that is presentable to my viewers? Does that make sense? So yeah, I love it. I think, why not try it? Just like Aaron said, fail forward, try talking about tech and see if it resonates. I think all this is just testing, right? I want to make sure I'm getting all your comments. You guys have great ones. Can I just say, I love that we're all women here gathered. Hello, live stream. Honestly, social media is our time, ladies. The more women on social, the more we control our content. Fantabulous. And our male allies, don't get me wrong. But I just love the fact that every name I see here is like beautiful gathering. Teresa's saying, I think the tech stuff can be helpful for those who enjoy that. What I love about RJ is that she paints a picture with every show for what bots can produce for you. Hello, RJ, reflecting right back to you. See, so here's the feedback I was telling you about. So the next time you're scratching your head going like, okay, what do I talk about now? Just remember that you've got fans in Teresa, you've got fans in myself. We both have reflected back to you that you paint a very clear picture of what bots can do. Again, you help educate us not on like the technical side of it, but like you help us visualize, frankly, a highly technical thing. And that's not easy to do. So when in doubt, I love that, Teresa. I love when we can all just sit here and just have a love fest. I'm totally for that. I want to make sure I got all of Aaron's. Yep. Here we go. Teresa's saying, I think that's what I struggle with, is how to bring my experiences into my content. I market to moms and I come from the educator point of view, so I struggle to bridge these areas. There you go. Okay. Well, you're already niched a little bit because you're marketing to moms. So that's good. How can you actually dive deeper? Let me noodle that a little bit. How to bring my experiences into my content. As a parent, I mean, there's nothing more relatable than a parent talking to another parent. You just happen to be a parent who teaches. So you've got like two hats that you can wear. But I am sure that you can have conversations with other parents that are totally relatable, that don't have to necessarily do with teaching. Maybe it's just like being a mom, hashtag mom life, like doing the school run in the morning, or like running out of lunch bags, or, me time, whatever that means to you, Are there ways that you can bring in your day-to-day reality of being a mom? Because it's the noblest job on this planet. Are there other ways that you can have fun with it so that people can see Teresa as an educator, but also Teresa as a woman, Teresa as a mom, who other people would be like, I am living that same experience, And again, whether they sign up to your program or not, maybe it's someone across the world. They'll be like, I can totally relate. I'm going to subscribe to her channel, or I'm going to click on her post. You just want to be a little bit more relatable. Aaron Strayer, I love how you're talking to each other. Aaron Strayer, I deal with moms who have kids ages 2.5 to 10. My hat goes off to you. Aaron's saying, what's the age of moms you deal with, Teresa? I'm already feeling some magic that you guys are totally going to connect and relate. That's what this is all about. I'm a facilitator here to connect y'all. Whether you like my content or not, we can just have this be a place to gather so we can all boost each other up. I'm going to read a few other things that I found online in addition to Roberto's. Again, when it comes to finding your niche, a couple of things. It's okay if you don't know your niche right now. 2, if you are struggling to find your niche, ask yourself, what can you bring from your personal experience, your day-to-day as a mom, dad, doctor? Maybe you went to the University of Kentucky. Maybe you are an avid fly fisherman. Maybe you love apartment DIY. Who knows? Maybe you are a cancer survivor. I don't know. Maybe you love to marathon. What is your day-to-day? What can you bring in from your personal experience into your specialization? And then 3, if you want to then take a step forward, think about what the content then looks like, and think about, from our wonderful guru, Roberto Blake, and frankly, the same insight I got at YouTube, put your producer hat on, think about, okay, if I was going to create a little mini series around this topic, what would those little episodes look like? Doesn't mean you need to make video, just what do the next videos look like? What do the next 3 lives look like? What do the next 5 social media posts look like? And they all kind of connect and communicate one big thing. And at the end of the day, what you're doing is you're just opening yourself a little bit up to other people and the opportunity to connect with them on a more personal level, but then communicate to others that you know your stuff. Like you own your topic. And all this does is build trust so that people start to follow you, click on your channel, subscribe to them, and you start to see that social media momentum move forward again. Does that make sense? Let's see if you guys are talking to each other again. What are a couple of other things? Another idea is that, and I do this in my course, Live Show Mastery. So I'll do every toolkit. I roll out monthly toolkits. I teach people how to go live, do this on Facebook and other channels. And I give people a toolkit every single month. But with that toolkit, I do how-to videos. So there's sort of what's called a hero video, a main video that greets you saying, hey, here's your next toolkit. Here's what you're going to learn. And then as people click in that, I have another series of how-to videos. So you can use the same strategy when it comes to promoting let's just call it your series of content, whatever that is. Create your hero content, something that kind of wraps it all up, ties it all up in a bow so that it's presentable, because you don't know where people are going to find your content, at which stage. Maybe they're going to follow you from day one. Maybe they're going to stumble upon it in a couple of weeks or a couple of months. And maybe it's one of the chapters, the pieces of it they find first, or maybe it's the big thing. Write a blog post that encapsulates the whole thing, and then link out to whatever your social media posts are. That's what you're going to promote. Classic social media strategy. If you're actually creating video content, why not create, Roberto calls this, and I call this, hero content. One video that kind of summarizes it all. And that one can actually cross-promote the other 3 or 4 chapters. It doesn't have to be long, but it can kind of easily summarize. You see this on a lot of websites when they're launching a new product. They'll have, or commercials, like Apple does this. They'll have one commercial or video that captures whatever it is they're talking about. And then you'll see other videos pop up that support it. Maybe some are technical, maybe some are how-tos. This all goes along the line of niche. So I'm going to leave you with one last piece of advice that I've been using for a while, and it's specific to YouTube, but you can use this on other channels. And then I'm going to jump over to Instagram, because I got to be honest, and I got to make sure that I honor people there. You can join me over on Instagram, by the way. I'll put the link in the comments. One of the last things that you can, well, not last things, but one of the last things I'll leave you with today is spend some time on YouTube, even if you don't use it, and take a look at people's channels. Take a look at how people organize their videos. This is great strategy here. So for mine, I have one channel. Okay, my live shows are all on that channel. I create what's called a playlist. There's a Jessica Payne Live playlist. Think of it as like my sort of. It's like going on a cable channel and finding a show. My channel is Jessica Payne on YouTube. One of my playlists is Jessica Payne Live. You click on that and all of my live shows are on there, cataloged and just archived. I have another playlist. It is my podcast, which includes audio of my lives, but also every single podcast I've ever done. And people watch my podcasts. I see people click all the time. But again, if people are watching me on the go, they can come to my channel and choose whatever they want. So some of the strategies I have going forward are, I'm going to deep dive a little bit more into how-tos. And this is going to be exclusive content just for YouTube, again, so that I can continue to own my niche on YouTube. But if you're just starting out or want to take notes, go to other people's channels, see how they organize, because they're organizing in a way, ideally, that makes them more niche. So rather than have 84 channels, the smart brands actually create these playlists. All it is organization. You want to make it easy for people to quickly and clearly understand what it is you do. So if you can help organize that journey, it makes it super, super simple. All right, any other questions, you guys? We've gotten a lot of comments. Oh, I have a question. Someone just messaged me a question about Live Show Mastery. Yes, if you're interested in Live Show Mastery, I'm still offering that course. I am going to shut the doors pretty soon. And when you sign up now, I do still have my coupon code if you'd like a 1 month savings from that. It is Live Show Mastery. It's specific to live streaming. So let me know. Just leave me a comment or shoot me a DM if you want to know more about that. What else? Oh, I was going to leave you with my Instagram link. Any other questions, you guys, while I have you? Otherwise, I'm going to jump over to Instagram, but I want to make sure that I honor your questions here. Teresa, do you think you have some clear next steps? What about you, Aaron? One thing I have gotten are questions about Instagram because I have been more active on it and I definitely have some strategies. So in the next couple weeks, quick plug, I am going to be talking more specifically about taking your strategy over to Instagram if you are interested in that. So I just left in the comments my Instagram URL. If you are listening, it's in the description. If you're watching over on YouTube, it is also in the description. If you ever want to join me live on Instagram, I go live every Tuesday, like right now, 8:30 a.m. Pacific. And I'm literally just going to bash just like doot, highlight reel of what we just talked about. I might even drop in a few more exclusive nuggets. How does that sound? Teresa, I'm already making notes for how to put together a series. That's awesome. And Teresa, if you want to drop me a note, you know you can. I'm happy to look at anything that you're strategizing. Like, I think one of the most powerful things we can do as creators is help each other out. Sometimes it's just getting another set of eyeballs. So Teresa, just when you have something on paper, email me, or you know how to message me. I would be more than happy to take a look at that, like to get you going. And I love it. Like, you're a go-getter. You just totally embrace new platforms and stuff, which I love. So the fact that you're already writing it down that's good energy. All right, you guys, I am going to jump over to Instagram. Join me live there if you want. This has been Jessica Payne Live. We've been talking about finding your niche. Hopefully these insights are helpful. You can just Google how to find your niche, but I think this fresh insight from YouTube and YouTube creators, that would be my biggest piece of advice, is to follow them because they live and breathe in content and they totally watch the numbers. Does that make sense? Teresa says she'll be in touch. I'm working on a few things and I would love to get your insight. You know where to find me, girl. I'm here for you and I can't wait. I can't wait. All right, you guys, thanks for watching. Jumping over to Instagram now. Give me a shout out. Again, if you want to find out more information about Live Show Mastery, we've got some great students in the course. We are plowing along. We just talked about going beyond Facebook last week. And right now we're talking about on-camera confidence, which I know holds a lot of people back. So just two of the pieces of content we're talking about. All right, you guys, have a great week. I'll see you on Instagram, or I'll see you guys next week. Bye. Thanks for joining. Bye.